Hello, welcome back to another episode of Tea Time in Paris. Today will be a bit of a chit-chatting video because I just sold my first ever Chanel handbag and I traded it up for something else, as you can see here. So I want to chat to you about what I sold, why I sold my first ever Chanel bag, where I sold it from, my whole experience selling on the platform, and my decision process when it comes to putting the money towards something else. So stay tuned. So first, the handbag that I sold was the Chanel 19 in the small size in the tweed pattern. It was my first ever Chanel handbag, and I did a review on this channel, so I'll link it above in case you're curious. This handbag dates back to 2019, which is pretty recent, but it was my first ever Chanel handbag. Back then, I wasn't really a luxury handbag purchaser. I didn't really believe in buying really expensive handbags, even though I could afford it at the time. It just wasn't something that I was in the habit of doing. But I always liked Chanel. I always liked their aesthetics. I liked their ready to wear. I liked their tweed especially. I thought tweed was just so emblematic of Chanel. So whenever I see something from Chanel that's in tweed, I just really loved it. But I wasn't really going out in the market and looking for bags all the time. So I first came across this bag when I was checking out this platform in the UK. I think it's called My Wardrobe HQ. So their idea is that you can either rent a luxury item for a daily or weekly rate, or you can buy it. I thought it was a pretty neat idea. It's kind of like rent the runway. You know, you don't necessarily want to drop a big sum of cash right away. Maybe you just want to try out a specific style or a specific kind of handbag and see how it works out for you before really making the plunge. And from the luxury bag owner's point of view, it also makes a ton of sense because we have all these very valuable assets sitting on our closet, really not generating any income at all. From a financial point of view, it really didn't make much sense. Not that handbags are really investments, but when we drop a large sum of cash in these really high-priced luxury handbags, a lot of times we tend to view it with a bit of an investment angle, in the sense that we're kind of parking our cash somewhere. When you are done using it, you can either get your money back or a substantial portion of your money back, or in certain cases you might even make money off it. So there is a tiny bit of investment element in kind of purchasing these items. So from that perspective, I thought being able to rent out your items when you're not using them at a weekly rate or daily rate just makes a lot of sense, financially speaking. So I was checking out that platform and I came across this tweed Chanel 19. I love the pattern. I just fell in love with the pattern right away. There's something about the red, white, and navy blue combination that really spoke to me. Thought the colorway just came together really nicely, and it was something that was so unique that I just couldn't get it out of my mind. So at the time I was living in Paris, so I was going to make a trip to London anyways for work. So I was gonna go check it out, and they had a location in Harrods. I sent them an email and I went there, saw the bag, and purchased it on the spot. So what I really liked about this particular handbag was that the pattern was really unique. I already talked about it, but not only that, the tweed is a very durable material. So when we think about tweed, we think about kind of pilling and the wear and tear on the material. That's true in some cases, but not all tweeds are made equal. So this one, for example, didn't pill at all. It's made of a kind of fabric that's kind of hardy and very resistant to pilling, which was a really surprising pro to this bag. When I bought the bag, it was pretty much in pristine condition, and even after I used it a ton after I first got it, it was still in really pristine condition as far as the material goes. So I did wear the bag a ton, and I got a lot of compliments on the bag. I get way more compliments on this bag from just people on the streets and even in Chanel boutiques from sales associates. Because you see a lot of leather Chanel 19s, but when you have a really unique and nice tweed pattern, it can really stand out. However, what I didn't really like about this bag was that, well, first of all, because of how unique this tweed pattern and this colorway was, I always knew that it wasn't something that I would wear for decades to come. For example, I don't see myself wearing the bag into my 50s and 60s, and it's not something that I would think of as a very classic bag that you would collect to your old age, or maybe perhaps pass it down to your daughter. It just doesn't fall into that category for me. And because of the unique colorway, it's not super generalized when it comes to matching your outfits. When you have the right outfit, the right colorway, it goes amazingly well. But it's just that it's not every day. Another big factor of why I sold the bag was the weight of the chains. It was a really heavy bag for such a small size. The chains were really bulky and substantial, which I think would be less of a problem if you wear it as a crossbody bag or a shoulder bag. But I always find that the small size of the Chanel 19 looked a lot chicer when you wear it sort of as a clutch under your arm or as a top handle on your kind of crook of your arm. So that's how I usually carry the bag. I really didn't like wearing it as a crossbody or shoulder bag at all. And also because this is really a weekend bag, right? Most of my bags are really weekend bags. So every time I wore it, it was during the weekend when I want to like go outside for walks in the park, or when I want to go walk around in the museum. So there's a lot of walking involved in my weekends. And when I'm walking with this bag on the crook of my arm or under my arms as a clutch, it just gets really, really heavy. And often case after I wear the bag, I would find that my arm is becoming sore, and there are sometimes sore spots on the crook of my arm the following day, which really made me reach for the bag a lot less over the past couple years. So over the past year, I think I didn't really wear the bag at all, which is really unfortunate. So these are the reasons why I decided that I would one day sell the bag. Although I wasn't really in a rush to sell it, I always thought that if I could get a decent price for it, a reasonable price, I would be amenable to selling it. I didn't want to put it on some of the resale platforms like the RealReal or Fashion File because the commission is pretty high. You pretty much have to fork out like 25 to 30% of your sale proceeds, and that would just make the net proceeds pretty unattractive for me. So I decided to list it on Vestiaire Collective because I have some experience selling my other stuff like clothing items and shoes on Vestiaire for a few years before listing this bag. So I already know how it worked, and it was usually pretty smooth for me when I sold those items. So I decided to list it. And also the other factor that I benefited from was the no commission promotion that Vestiaire Collective is doing. I think it's still going on right now, where you can sell certain brands on Vestiaire Collective and they wouldn't charge any selling fees or commissions on your sale proceeds for a limited amount of time. And they will only charge a 3% processing fee, which makes your sale proceeds a lot more kind of attractive, especially for a large item, right? So that also pushed me to list the item. So I got a few offers which were kind of like lowball offers. I declined. And then one day someone just bought my bag at my asking price. At first I wasn't sure how I felt about letting the bag go. Maybe I wasn't completely ready, but I knew that The price was probably the best I could get, considering that I didn't have to pay any commission for that sale. And I knew that I would have to sell the bag at some point, so why not now when I don't have to pay any commission? So I decided to go through with the sale and ship the bag out. So now let's spend a couple minutes talking about Vestiaire Collective and my experience selling on the platform for a minute. This video is not sponsored at all, so I am not trying to promote Vestiaire Collective in any way. In fact, I have found their customer service to have deteriorated over the past year or two. I used to sell a lot of items on Vestiaire, and I've always had great experience selling on them, and the transactions have always been smooth, and I've had no problem contacting customer service in the past. But I don't know starting when, but over the past year or so, they've gotten rid of the call-in option for customer service. So you can no longer call someone and get a hold of an actual person. There's no phone number for you to call at all. So all customer service has to go through the chat service, which is a bit annoying to say the least. I mean, granted, the chat service wasn't all robotic. They did have some actual people behind the line after a certain point. But what was really frustrating for me was that the agents weren't always responsive because they tried to have the same agent follow the same thread, which I guess makes some sense. But what's really frustrating about that is that you have to basically wait for the agent to be working that day during those hours. And they may not respond to you right away. They have other chats going on perhaps. So sometimes they don't respond to you for days. Sometimes you send a message at night, they are not working, so you have to wait for the next day for them to be working and see your message. And sometimes maybe they're not working for these few days. So you have to just really be patient. And if you have an urgent issue to deal with, good luck getting hold of someone fast, right? So that was my number one frustration with the platform. And I happen to have an issue that's very specific to me because I had moved from Paris to New York last year. I transferred my account from the the French site to the US site. They did the transfer for me last year on their back end, but I noticed that not everything was transferred through smoothly. Like for example, some of my listings were still in euro and my bank account was still linked to my French bank account, which I would have liked to update it to the US bank account, which normally you would be able to do it on your app. But for some reason, I don't know if it's just a glitch on their app or if it's an extra security step that they are trying to prevent people from changing their bank accounts too easily, but I couldn't do it on the app. I was trying to submit my banking information for the US bank account, and every time I try to submit it, the app just kind of refreshes, but it doesn't do anything. So I was trying to contact the customer service about that because I really wanted my sale proceeds to go to my US bank account. I didn't know how much money I would lose on the exchange rate if they try to send it to the French bank account, and I also didn't know if there would be any issues with the US Vestiaire Collective sending money to the French bank account. And I don't know if my French bank account would reject the incoming US dollar wire transfer. So there were a lot of kind of concerns in my head about the thousands of dollars that were coming my way. So I really wanted the issue to be resolved ASAP. And it took days for the customer service agent to even understand that issue. I was trying to get some assurance from them that in no circumstances I would lose the money, because technically the money already belongs to me. The sale had gone through, the buyer had accepted it, so the money was just sitting in Vestiaire, on their escrow or something, held for me. So technically it's my money, and I just wanted them to be able to tell me, well, if there's any issues, of course you'll still get your money back, it's just a delay. But they couldn't tell me that. they couldn't give me that simple assurance that I wouldn't lose my sale proceeds. And we're talking about thousands of dollars here. So it really made me frustrated, to say the least. I was trying to get them to understand that this is their glitch, this is their platform, their issues. So they really should be the one to assure me that I would be getting my sale proceeds. But the only thing they could tell me was that you will not lose your sale proceeds if we resolve this problem ASAP. Well, that's not very reassuring, is it? I wasn't a bottleneck in resolving this issue. I was the one being responsive, and I was the one trying to resolve this issue. And this issue wasn't caused by me. It was caused by the platform. I don't know what glitch they had in the system. It was completely 100% their issue to solve. And to tell me that I wouldn't lose my sale proceeds only if they resolve this ASAP, well, that just wasn't reassuring at all, especially when resolving this issue was completely out of my control. So eventually, this issue did get resolved, but it was after weeks and weeks of trying to talk to the agent, get a hold of them, and sending them information that they already had. It was very frustrating. The sale proceeds were sent to my French bank account because they couldn't hold the money for me while this issue was being resolved. Fortunately, I didn't lose a lot of money on the exchange rate. I probably lost like $20 on this whole thing. And there was no issues with transferring the money to a foreign bank account. So I was happy that the money was safe in my bank, but I wasn't happy with how the platform was handling this issue. And I was really not happy that there was absolutely no way for me to reach someone at the platform on the phone. I just thought that for a resale platform that's handling transactions worth thousands and sometimes tens of thousands of dollars from a large volume of customers, you really should have a customer service team that's reliable. So because of this, I am not sure I would really trust selling something really, really expensive on Vestiaire Collective, because if something does go wrong, good luck getting hold of an actual person who will handle your situation in a timely manner. However, having said all of that, the pro of listing your item through Vestiaire Collective is obviously the low commission fee. I benefited from the no selling fee promotion on Vestiaire this time, but even if you can't benefit from it, the standard commission they charge is still a lot lower than the resale websites like The RealReal or Fashion File. You're talking about, I think, 12% standard commission fee. So you do get to keep a larger chunk of your sale proceeds on your items. So for smaller items, I definitely try to list it through Vestiaire as much as possible, and I don't have to kind of send my items in. They are still at home with me. If someone doesn't buy it, then well, that's fine. Okay, so now I got the money. So what did I want to do with the proceeds? So what I had in mind was to put the proceeds into a weekday bag, because I realized that almost all my bags are weekend bags, and my weekends are so short, right? I do work a lot, so sometimes I don't even have much of a weekend at all. So why do I have so many weekend bags when I spend the majority of my time during the weekday and very likely working? So I decided that I wanted a really nice work bag, preferably something from Chanel that I can wear to work and just wear it as an everyday bag. Now the Deauville tote came to mind because it's such a versatile bag and it's so easily used, and it's obviously really, really Chanel and really chic. But I'm not a tote person. Tote bags don't really get me excited. I don't get excited looking at them, and I don't get excited buying them. But I thought the Deauville bag was probably the closest tote that I would remotely get any excitement out of. So I did think about getting a black Deauville tote in the mixed fibers in black and with the very subtle kind of hidden Chanel lettering on the front. and with gold hardware. I think that would be a really nice kind of work bag. I also briefly considered the Chanel 19 in extra large format. Jusui Lu is a handbag influencer I follow on YouTube. She has a extra large Chanel 19 flap that she carries everywhere with her laptop and stuff. She really loves it. She thinks it's really useful and versatile. What was holding me back was that I already found the Chanel 19 small to be incredibly heavy, and the extra large would be even heavier. Although with the large and extra large, I would be wearing them as a shoulder bag, which would make the weight a bit more bearable, but it would still be a really heavy bag. And it's not a bag that's designed to hold a laptop, even though it can theoretically hold a laptop. And the weight of the bag is really sitting on the chain straps at the top of the flap. So over time, if you're carrying something heavy, you're really pulling it on the flaps. And I really don't think that's really healthy for the bag. And I probably wouldn't feel super comfortable with it if I'm wearing a laptop every day to work. I would probably still want a Chanel 19 in the extra large format at some point, because I find the larger size of the Chanel 19 bag just exudes in the casual vibe, the casual chicness, like really amazingly well, especially with a nice tweed. But I will have to find a tweed material that doesn't pull easily and that the pattern and colorway are kind of versatile enough. I haven't come across one yet, so I'll probably look out for that like over the years to come. So I was looking at all the Deauville totes on the resale platforms because I didn't want to get them new. I knew that whatever I buy would be a bag that I would be using a lot on an everyday basis. I didn't want to get something brand new from the store because I would feel like it's almost too precious to be broken into and worn every day. I wanted something that's already been broken into and it's a little bit cheaper, so I would feel much more comfortable using it. So I've been looking at all the resale websites to see what tote bags there are. Of course, I tried on a few Deauville totes. They look fantastic. They just look really chic and really casual. But I also came across this bag, which is, well, it's been a long suspense, so I will just review it now. Ta-da! I will have to move some of my stuff to fit the whole bag into the screen, but it is the chanelxxl travel flap bag. So this is not the first time I saw this bag, right? I first saw this bag on YouTube when one of the Canadian influencers that I follow, her name is Nikki Sky, she got one of these bags as an everyday mom bag. And when I saw it, I was just like, oh my god, this is so chic and so cute. And I just loved the slouchiness of the bag. At the time, while I really liked the classic flap, and I even thought about getting a maxi classic flap, what was really holding me back was that I didn't want a really structured classic flap that's really huge because they get really heavy. I think the bigger the classic flap gets, the more the rigid structure becomes a liability instead of an asset. When it's a small or medium classic flap, we like that it's structured, we like the rigid structure and how it holds up. That's amazing. But when it gets really big, like the maxi size, then the structure almost kind of detracts from the attractiveness of the bag. So when I saw this XXL flap on her, and it was just so slouchy, so soft. Hers is in the chevron and ruthenian hardware. It just looks so chic on her. Slouchiness was just so casual, so nonchalant. I just really loved it. I did look on all the resale websites at the time because this is a seasonal piece, right? It doesn't come out all the time. So the only place that you find it is really on resale websites. There weren't a lot of stock, especially if you want in black and in gold hardware. So there were only a few pieces available, and the prices were really high. So I didn't find any at the time, and also I wasn't ready to drop like 8 to 10,000 on a really big bag. This bag had been at the back of my mind kind of throughout the years. When I was searching for the tweed tote, I also came across these bags in the real. I tried on one. I thought I was just trying it on for fun, but as soon as I started touching it, I really just fell in love with it because I had never touched one before. And this bag, when you touch it, it's just so soft. It's so soft and so malleable with this kind of green calf skin. It's not, green calf skin is technically caviar, but this is not the usual caviar, as you can see. But it's still green calf skin, and it's really resistant to scratch. And all these bags, when you look at them from the resale websites, they really don't look good. They don't photograph well. I think it's because they photograph them with all the stuffings inside, so it really looks like very kind of ugly. They really don't know how to photograph them well, because this bag, like, you really want to show the slouchiness of it, and you really want to show how chic it is, right? But when they photograph them, it always looks so stuffy and so bulky. Doesn't look good at all. But in real person, when you try it on, it doesn't look that big. It's not that bulky. It actually looks incredibly chic. And then I opened the bag, and it was just, oh, I have something in here. So when you open it on the inside, there's a compartment. And for me, that's perfect because I can just slot my laptop in here and it won't kind of swim around in a huge bag. And this is what I usually hate about the big tote bags, because if you put a laptop in a big tote bag, it kind of just swims around in the bag. It's not very comfortable. But if you put a laptop in a slimmer or narrower tote bag, then you don't have a lot of space for the stuff that you want to carry. So it's always a trade-off between the two. And this one, it's just perfect because I can just slot the laptop in here, and I still have a really big compartment for everything else that I want to carry. And this is not a tote bag. I get excited about this bag. I don't get excited for tote bags. This one, I have butterflies when I look at it, and I have butterflies when I wear it. It's just a perfect bag for me. And the fact that I sold my Chanel 19 this year, so I was able to cover a large portion of the cost for this bag, that to me was just the right time to knock this one off of my Chanel bucket list. So I'll do a whole other review video on choosing this bag, and also the features of this bag and what to look for if you want to buy one of these bags. This video is already long enough. I'll just insert some footage on the mug shots trying out this bag, and I'll see you in a next video. Bye now.